The divorce papers she served me on June 3rd, 2024, cited irreconcilable differences and my emotional unavailability. But the 47-page timeline I'd been building for 4 months, complete with credit card statements, GPS data, and PI surveillance footage, told a very different story about who was unavailable and with whom. If you've got some time, maybe grab a coffee or something, because this one's going to take a while. It's the kind of story where every detail matters, where the truth was hidden in plain sight for years, and where patience became my most powerful weapon. So why did I stay silent for 4 whole months after I found out? Why did I smile and kiss her goodbye every morning, knowing exactly what she was doing on her girls' nights and business trips? Because I'm an ER doctor, and if 10 years in emergency medicine taught me anything, it's this. When you're dealing with something critical, you don't just react. You assess, you document, you prepare, and then, when you're ready, you act with precision. This is the story of how my wife Amanda ran 3 separate affairs over 4 years, spent nearly $50,000 of our money doing it, then had the audacity to divorce me first, claiming I was the problem. It's also the story of how I turned her moment of triumph, her company's annual awards ceremony where she was receiving Agent of the Year, into the night. Her entire carefully constructed life imploded in front of 300 people. But more than that, it's about what happens after the revenge, after the dust settles, and you have to figure out who you are when you're not saving a marriage that was already dead. Looking back now, I can see the warning signs were always there. I just didn't want to see them. Amanda and I met in 2014 at a charity gala. I was the exhausted resident who'd been dragged there by a colleague, standing in the corner nursing a vodka tonic and counting the minutes until I could leave. She was the magnetic real estate agent working the room like she owned it. Designer dress, perfect smile, the kind of person who made everything look effortless. When she walked up to me and said, "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else," I laughed for the first time in weeks. We were engaged 10 months later. Spring wedding in 2015, overlooking the Pacific. It was everything people said it should be: romantic, beautiful, full of promises about honesty and transparency, and forever. I meant every word of my vows. I'd later learn Amanda only meant the parts that sounded good in front of an audience. Our life in Silver Lake looked perfect from the outside. Nice house with a yard, 2 cars, a circle of couple friends who seemed as happy as we were. My ER shifts at Cedars-Sinai were brutal, 60, 70 hours a week sometimes, but I told myself I was building something. Amanda's real estate career was taking off too. Bigger commissions, nicer clients, her face on bus benches across LA. We were that couple. The one that made it work despite demanding careers. Except we weren't. The first crack I can identify now, though I missed it completely at the time, was in late 2022. Amanda got promoted to senior agent, which meant more money, more pressure, and apparently more freedom. She started this weekly Thursday night thing, girls' night with her work friends. Drinks, dinner, blowing off steam. Totally normal, right? Every couple needs their own space. I encouraged it. I actually told her she should go, that she worked hard and deserved it. If you've ever been that trusting person who got burned, you know exactly how stupid I felt later. The phone thing started around the same time. Amanda had always been pretty open with her phone, leaving it on the counter while she showered, that kind of thing. But suddenly, it was face down everywhere. Face down on the table at dinner. Face down on her nightstand at night. She'd take it to the bathroom with her, sleep with it under her pillow, angle the screen away when she was texting. I noticed. Of course I noticed, but when I mentioned it once, just casually, not even accusatory, she looked at me like I'd slapped her. "Why are you being paranoid? Don't you trust me?" Her voice got this edge to it, this defensive sharpness that made me feel like I was the one doing something wrong. So I backed off. I apologized. I said of course I trusted her. That's the thing about gaslighting. It works because people like me, people pleasers who hate conflict, We'd rather question ourselves than cause a scene. My parents' divorce when I was 12 was vicious, full of screaming and accusations, and my dad's affair tearing everything apart. I swore I'd never be like that, never be suspicious or controlling or one of those jealous husbands. So when Amanda made me feel crazy for noticing obvious changes, I chose to believe her instead of my own instincts. Our sex life had been declining too. Used to be we'd make time for each other, even with my crazy schedule. But by early 2023, it was down to maybe once a month, if that. She was always exhausted from work. I was always exhausted from the hospital. We were two ships passing in the night, and I told myself it was just a phase. Every long marriage goes through dry spells, right? There were other little things. A charge on our credit card statement from Nobu when she'd told me she was at a client dinner at Mastro's. When I asked about it, she barely looked up from her phone. Oh, we changed plans last minute. I forgot to mention it. I found a men's cologne scent in her car once. Not mine, something expensive and musky. Must be from showing a property, she said, shrugging. You know how these investor types are. They leave their smell everywhere. Every single time I had a choice. I could push, demand answers, risk looking paranoid and jealous, or I could accept her explanations and maintain the peace. I chose peace, every single time. My friend Mark tried to warn me, in his way. We were grabbing beers one night in January 2024, and he got this look on his face, like he was deciding whether to say something. "How's Amanda?" he finally asked. "You guys seem good?" The way he said it. There was weight behind it, like he knew something, or suspected something, but I got defensive immediately. "We're great. Why wouldn't we be?" He backed off. "No reason, man. Just checking in." I should have pressed him. I should have asked what he'd seen or heard, but I didn't want to know. That's the truth nobody wants to admit about being betrayed. Somewhere deep down you often know. You just can't face it yet. Then came February 8th, 2024, the day everything changed, though it would take me months to act on what I found. I'd worked an overnight shift at the ER, one of those brutal ones where you're triaging stab wounds and heart attacks and overdoses for 12 straight hours. I got home around 7 in the morning, completely wiped out. Amanda had already left for an early showing across town. The house was quiet, coffee pot still warm. I was making myself a cup when I noticed Amanda's old iPhone plugged in and charging in a kitchen drawer. She'd upgraded to a new one a few months back, but kept the old phone around for the photos. It was one of those things that just sits there collecting dust. Except this morning, as I reached for a spoon, I knocked the drawer and the phone screen lit up. There was a notification preview on the lock screen. "Jason, last night was amazing. Can't wait for next week." My hand froze. Jason. I didn't know any Jason in Amanda's life, but the message was clearly romantic, clearly intimate. My heart started pounding. The phone was still unlocked. Face ID must have still been set up from when it was her primary device. My hands shaking, I opened it. The contact was saved as Jen from yoga, but scrolling up through the messages, it was immediately, painfully obvious that Jen was not Jen. Jen was Jason, and Jason was in love with my wife. I should have stopped there. Should have closed the phone, sat down, figured out my next move calmly, but I couldn't stop. I kept scrolling, and with every swipe, my entire world was crumbling. The messages went back to August 2022, a year and a half, photos, explicit texts, plans to meet, references to hotels, weekends together, things they'd done, things she'd never done with me. And the thing that made my stomach turn, a message from Amanda to Jason dated just 3 weeks earlier. He's so clueless and trusting, I almost feel bad. Almost. I sat on the kitchen floor and scrolled for 3 hours. I learned that Jason was Amanda's ex-boyfriend from USC. They'd reconnected at an alumni conference in San Francisco in the summer of 2022. What started as coffee had turned into dinner, then drinks, then a hotel room. and it had never stopped. Every work conference she'd taken to San Francisco over the past 18 months, at least 8 of them, had been to see Jason. Every weekend she claimed she needed to check out properties in the Bay Area for potential clients. Every business trip that took her away from me, all lies, all Jason. I called in sick to the hospital for the first time in 3 years. I couldn't move, couldn't think, couldn't process what I was seeing. But here's the thing about working in an ER. You learn to compartmentalize. You have to. When someone's dying in front of you, you don't fall apart. You switch into this mode where emotion gets locked away and procedure takes over. That training kicked in now. I started documenting everything. Screenshots, photos of the phone screen showing the messages. I transferred every single conversation to my laptop. All 6,147 messages. I noted dates, times, patterns. Amanda's SF conferences matched up perfectly with Jason's messages about their time together. Then I did the math on our credit card statements. Hotel rooms at the Fairmont and SF, dinners at Gary Danko, flights up and back, all charged to our joint account, all while I was working overtime to save for our future. Rough estimate, $12,000 over 18 months, just on the Jason affair. The Jason affair. I remember thinking those words and feeling like I'd been punched. Because if I was thinking, the Jason affair, singular, specific, did that mean I suspected there were others? I pushed the thought away. Surely not. Surely this was enough betrayal for one person. But the seed had been planted. I spent the next week moving through my life like a ghost. Kissing Amanda goodbye in the morning, asking about her day when she got home. Lying in bed next to her at night, knowing she'd been with someone else. The performance was excruciating, but I held it together because I needed to think, to plan, to figure out what the hell to do. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Chen, I'd been seeing her occasionally since 2021 for work stress, became my lifeline. I showed her the messages in our next session. She went pale. "Daniel," she said carefully, "what do you want to do?" "I don't know," I admitted. Part of me wants to confront her right now. Part of me wants to burn everything down. Part of me wants to just disappear. "Those are all normal reactions," she said. "But here's what I want you to consider. You have evidence of infidelity. You're devastated and angry, which is completely valid. But making decisions from this emotional state might not serve you in the long run. Have you thought about talking to a lawyer?" I hadn't, but I did that week. Lisa Torres, a divorce attorney my buddy from med school had recommended. I showed her the Jason messages, explained the situation. Lisa leaned back in her chair, professional and sharp-eyed. California's a no-fault state, so technically the affair doesn't matter for the divorce itself. But it can absolutely matter for asset division and spousal support, especially if you can prove she was spending marital funds on the affair. "I can prove it," I said. $12,000 at least, maybe more. "Then document everything," Lisa advised. "And I mean everything. If you're going to do this, do it right." That's when I started the spreadsheet. I named the file Home Renovation Budget, so Amanda wouldn't get suspicious if she saw it on my laptop. But inside, it was a forensic timeline of betrayal. Columns for date, Amanda's stated location, actual location, evidence, and notes. I started with the Jason affair, cross-referencing her calendar with the messages, with our credit card statements, with her flight records. The pattern was stunning once you saw it laid out. Every time she told me she had a conference in SF, there was a corresponding message from Jason. Every hotel charge, every dinner, every wine bar tab. It was methodical, calculated, and it had been happening right under my nose. But then, I started noticing other charges that didn't fit the Jason pattern. Thursday evenings specifically. Hotel charges in LA, not SF. Hotel Irwin in Venice. Petite Hermitage in West Hollywood. Same day every week, like clockwork. "Girls' night," Amanda always said. Every Thursday. For 3 years. I went back through the credit card history. March 2021. That's when the Thursday hotel charges started. Around the same time, Amanda joined Equinox Gym and got that personal trainer she was always raving about. Marcus. His name was Marcus. She'd shown me his Instagram once, said he was really helping her hit her fitness goals. I'd been happy for her, thought it was great she was taking care of herself. I pulled up Marcus's Instagram now with fresh eyes. Amanda had liked every single post. Going back 3 years, commented with fire emojis and heart eyes and best session yet. The account was public, professional, lots of shirtless mirror pics and motivational quotes about transformation. I created a burner Instagram account and started digging. Found a photo tagged at Equinox from 2 years ago, Amanda in workout gear, Marcus behind her with his hand on her shoulder, both grinning. The caption, "Gains and good vibes." 37 likes, including one from Amanda's girls' night friend, Christine. Then I checked Amanda's phone records. We were on a family plan, so I had access to everything. There was a number she'd called or texted nearly every Thursday evening for 3 years. In her contacts, it was saved as Equinox Front Desk. I called the number from a burner phone. It rang twice. "Hey, this is Marcus. Can't get to the phone right now, but leave a message and I'll hit you back." I hung up, sat there staring at my phone, did more math. Hotel charges on Thursdays, roughly twice a month for 3 years. That's 72 hotel visits, at an average of $200 per room. That's over $14,000. All from our joint account. All while she was supposedly at girls' night. 2 affairs, 18 months with Jason, 3 years with Marcus. My wife was running 2 separate affairs, both still active, and I'd been completely oblivious. I should have been broken at that point, and part of me was. The part that had loved her, trusted her, built a life with her. But another part was emerging, cold and analytical. The part that sees patterns, evaluates evidence, makes diagnoses. I went back to the spreadsheet, added a new tab for Marcus, color-coded it blue, to distinguish from Jason's red. Started filling in dates, cross-referencing the Thursday charges with her calendar. Every single girls' night matched up with either a hotel charge or a gap in the records where she'd probably gone to his place. But there were still charges I couldn't explain. Lunch meetings at high-end restaurants that went for hours, Fig and Olive, Catch LA, Wine Bar in Los Feliz, January through April 2024, multiple times a week. These weren't her usual client spots. These were romantic date spots, intimate wine bars, places couples went. I had a horrible thought. What if there were 3? It seemed impossible. Who has the time, the energy, the sociopathic capacity to maintain 3 separate affairs? But the evidence was pointing there, and I'd learned to trust the evidence. That's when I hired the private investigator. Frank Morrison, retired LAPD, ran a discreet investigation firm in Pasadena. My lawyer Lisa had referred him. I met Frank in a coffee shop in March, showed him everything I had. Frank, a grizzled guy in his 60s with seen-it-all eyes, scrolled through the evidence on my laptop, looked up at me with something like pity. "You're right to be thorough," he said. "I've seen this pattern before. When someone's running multiple affairs, they get sloppy, overconfident. They think they're untouchable. I need video evidence," I told him. "Something undeniable. Photos, surveillance, everything. That'll take time, and it won't be cheap." "I don't care about the money. I need the truth," Frank nodded. "Give me 6 weeks. Full surveillance. I'll get you everything you need." I paid his retainer and waited. Those 6 weeks were the longest of my life, going through the motions of normal marriage, knowing what I knew, watching Amanda lie to my face every single day. "How was girls' night?" I'd ask on Thursday. "Great. Christine and I tried that new Korean place. So good." Lies. Effortless lies. "How was the conference?" I'd ask when she got back from SF. "Exhausting but productive." "Did I tell you about the panel I attended?" Lies. All lies. Every smile was a performance. Every kiss goodbye made me want to vomit. But I held steady because Frank was out there gathering proof, and when I finally confronted her, I wanted every single piece of ammunition. The report came in late April. Frank handed me a manila envelope in the same coffee shop, his expression grim. "You need to be sitting down for this," he said. I was already sitting, but I understood what he meant. I opened the envelope. 3 affairs. Frank had confirmed 3 affairs, all currently active, sometimes overlapping. The third man's name was Brett Caldwell. 41, married real estate investor with 2 teenage kids, one of Amanda's biggest clients over the past year. The affair had started in January 2024 and was ongoing. Hotel security footage showed them checking into Hotel Irwin together. Parking garage cameras caught them kissing. His credit card, because Frank was thorough, showed he'd bought Amanda jewelry, designer bags, expensive gifts. But the worst part, the thing that made me actually have to step outside for air, Frank's report showed they were all still active, all 3 affairs running simultaneously. Thursday, April 4th, Marcus, gym session at 2 p.m., Hotel Irwin checkout at 6 p.m. Friday, April 5th, Brett, lunch at Fig and Olive at noon, property viewing that lasted until 4 p.m., though no property was actually shown. Saturday, April 6th, Jason, flight to SF at 2 p.m., picked up at airport by Jason, didn't return until Sunday night. 3 men in 3 days. My wife had been with 3 different men in a 72-hour period, and I'd been at the hospital saving lives completely unaware. Frank included phone records showing the texts. Amanda to Marcus. "Thursday can't come fast enough." Amanda to Brett. "Wear that cologne I like." Amanda to Jason. "Landing at 2. Come straight to the hotel." There were videos too. Frank's surveillance team had captured Amanda and Marcus, leaving Hotel Irwin on April 18th, her fixing her hair in the car mirror. Amanda and Brett kissing in a parking garage on April 24th, his hand on her face. Airport footage of Jason picking Amanda up in SF on April 27th. The way they kissed like they'd been apart for months instead of weeks. But the evidence that destroyed me the most was from our home security cameras. I'd installed them in 2023, ostensibly for safety after a break-in scare in our neighborhood. Cameras in the living room, kitchen, front door. I'd review the footage occasionally, but never really looked hard. Frank had looked hard, and he found footage of Marcus in our house on February 14th, Valentine's Day, while I was working a 36-hour shift. Footage of Brett on March 20th, there to discuss an investment property. Except they never left the bedroom for 2 hours. She'd brought them into our home, into our bed, the place I slept every night, where I'd held her, where we'd promised to build a life together. I drove to Griffith Observatory after reading the report. It was our first date spot, back when we were new and everything seemed possible. I sat in my car watching the sunset over LA and broke down completely. Called my best friend Kevin. "I need you." He showed up 20 minutes later, didn't ask questions, just sat next to me in the passenger seat while I cried. 10 years, I finally said. 10 fucking years of my life. "What are you going to do?" Kevin asked quietly. "I don't know yet," I said, "but I'm not going to be the nice guy anymore." When I got home that night, Amanda was already in bed. I looked at her sleeping, peaceful, probably dreaming about one of her affairs. Looked at our wedding photo on the nightstand. Remembered my vows. Remembered promising to be honest, transparent, faithful. I'd kept those promises. She hadn't. I opened my laptop and looked at Frank's report again. There was a date, circled in red. October 14th, 2024. The Luxury Estates LA Annual Awards Dinner. Amanda was nominated for Agent of the Year. 300 people from the real estate industry. Clients, colleagues, competitors, press coverage. The biggest night of her professional life. Something cold settled in my chest. Something I'd never felt before. Not anger exactly. more like clarity, like seeing the entire chessboard for the first time. She wanted to play the perfect wife in public while destroying our marriage in private. She wanted to stand on stage and accept an award for integrity while sleeping with 3 different men. Okay, let's see how that works out for her. I made a decision that night. I wasn't going to confront Amanda. Not yet. I was going to wait, document everything, build an airtight case. And when she least expected it, when she felt most secure and successful, I was going to show everyone exactly who she really was. In the ER, we have a saying, the patient who's screaming is rarely the one in the most danger. It's the quiet ones you have to watch, the ones who seem stable until suddenly they're not. Amanda had no idea how quiet I could be. May came. I settled into the strangest performance of my life, playing the role of oblivious husband while methodically preparing for war. Every morning I kissed her goodbye. Every night I asked about her day. Every Thursday I said, "Have fun at girls' night," and waited for her to leave, before I added another line to the spreadsheet. Frank continued surveillance. I paid him to document everything, every hotel visit, every lunch with Brett, every SF trip with Jason. The evidence file grew thicker by the week. Photos, videos, time-stamped GPS data, phone records, credit card statements going back 4 years. I created a master timeline, 47 pages, color-coded. Red for Jason, blue for Marcus, green for Brett. Cross-referenced with Amanda's work calendar, our bank records, her social media posts. Every lie mapped out in excruciating detail. The financial calculation alone was damning. 4 years of affairs, all funded by our joint account, hotels, flights, dinners, gifts. By my count, $47,362.18. Money I'd earned working brutal hours at the hospital, thinking we were saving for our future, actually funding my wife's triple life. I met with Lisa Torres weekly, prepared the legal strategy. California might be a no-fault divorce state, but financial misconduct could affect asset division. More importantly, Lisa helped me understand that what I had wasn't just evidence of affairs, it was evidence of fraud. She's been systematically deceiving you and using marital assets to fund that deception, Lisa explained. That's not just infidelity, that's financial malfeasance. In late May, I hired a forensic accountant. He found things I'd missed, charges I'd rationalized, patterns I hadn't seen. The professional report was devastating. Systematic diversion of marital funds for extramarital affairs, including specific line items for jewelry that never made it home, hotel rooms during work trips, meals for 2 charged as client dinners. I also hired a video editor. This was Frank's suggestion. Take all the surveillance footage, the photos, the evidence, and compile it into one 4-minute video. Timeline with dates and locations. Split screen, showing Amanda's claimed whereabouts versus reality. Set to our wedding song, "Can't Help Falling in Love," for maximum irony. The video was professional, clean, devastating. No commentary needed, just facts, timestamps, footage. Thursday night, girls' night. Cut to footage of Amanda and Marcus entering Hotel Irwin. Weekend conference, San Francisco business trip. Cut to airport footage of Jason picking her up. Client lunch, property showing with Brett. Cut to parking garage cameras showing them making out in his car. Every lie, every betrayal, every dollar spent, all laid out in 4 minutes of undeniable truth. And then, on June 3rd, 2024, Amanda surprised me. I came home from a shift to find her sitting at the kitchen table, an envelope in front of her, tears on her face. "I'm so sorry, Daniel," she said, her voice breaking. "I can't do this anymore." She slid the envelope across the table. Divorce papers. She'd filed first. For a second, I felt the old instinct, to comfort her, ask what was wrong, try to fix it. Then I remembered the 3 affairs, the $47,000, the lies. I opened the envelope. The petition cited irreconcilable differences and my emotional unavailability. There was a whole paragraph about how I was never home, always at work, how we'd grown apart, how she felt lonely and unseen in the marriage. Amanda's performance was Oscar-worthy. "You're never here," she said, tears streaming. "I feel like I'm married to a ghost. I can't keep waiting for you to make me a priority." Every word was a projection. Everything she accused me of, she was guilty of exponentially. But I just sat there, nodding, letting her talk. "I've already spoken with an attorney," she continued. "I think it's best if we keep the house. If I keep the house. I'm proposing a 60-40 asset split, given that I've been the more present partner and I've built my career here. My attorney will be in touch with yours." She didn't even know I had an attorney. Didn't know about the timeline, the evidence, the surveillance. She thought she was blindsiding me, leaving first to control the narrative, positioning herself as the victim. "Can I think about this?" I asked carefully. She looked almost surprised that I wasn't fighting. "I've already filed," she said. "You'll be served officially soon. I just wanted to tell you first." After she left, "Going to Christine's house," she said, though I knew she was probably meeting Marcus. I sat in the quiet house and almost laughed. The audacity, the sheer balls to cheat for 4 years, spend $50,000 of my money, then divorce me, claiming I was the problem. I called Lisa. She filed first. "I saw," Lisa said. She'd already received notice from Amanda's attorney. "Don't worry. This actually works in our favor. Let her think she's in control." Over the next few weeks, I filed my counter-petition. It cited infidelity, financial fraud, breach of marital trust. I included some of the evidence but held back the most damaging parts. Let Amanda's attorney think they knew what we had. They didn't know about Frank, didn't know about the video, didn't know about the October 14th plan. Meanwhile, Amanda moved through the divorce like she was the injured party. Told her friends I was a workaholic who'd neglected her. Told her family I'd grown cold and distant. Posted on Instagram about new chapters and choosing yourself. Her friends commented with support. "You deserve better. Proud of you for putting yourself first." The irony was physically painful. In August, I learned Amanda had been nominated for Agent of the Year at Luxury Estates LA. She was thrilled, posting about it constantly. Shopping for the perfect dress, getting her hair done. The awards dinner was set for October 14th at the Millennium Biltmore Hotel. 300 attendees, industry press, the whole 9 yards. She asked if I'd still come as her +1. "I know things are complicated," she said, "but it would mean a lot. For appearances. For appearances. That's what our entire marriage had been." "Of course," I said. "I'll be there." Frank and I met one final time in September. Reviewed the plan step by step. The video was ready. Frank had a backup drive and 3 copies stored in different locations. I'd contacted the AV tech at the Biltmore, a guy named Chris who Frank knew from his LAPD days. $2,000 to have technical difficulties at exactly the right moment and let me plug in my laptop. Legal papers were ready to serve immediately after. Frank would film everything for documentation. Kevin would be there as backup emotional support. Dr. Chen, my therapist, had a session scheduled for the day after. She knew I'd need it. "You're sure about this?" Frank asked me. "This is nuclear. There's no coming back from this." "She destroyed 4 years of my life," I said. "Used my money to do it, then filed for divorce, claiming I was the problem." "Yeah, I'm sure." The last therapy session before the event, Dr. Chen asked me a hard question. "Daniel, is this about justice or revenge?" I thought about it. "Maybe both. Is that okay?" "As long as you can live with the consequences," she said. "After tomorrow, everything changes. Your life, her life, other people's lives. Are you prepared for that?" "She had 3 affairs," I said, simultaneously. For years. I'm not the one who should be preparing for consequences. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. Just remember, revenge can feel satisfying in the moment, but healing comes from moving forward, not staying stuck in anger. I know, I said, but I need to do this first. I need to stop being the nice guy who gets walked all over. I need to stand up for myself just once. Then do it, she said, but promise me you'll talk to me afterward, however it goes. I promised. October 14th, 2024 arrived, clear and warm, one of those perfect LA evenings where the sky turns pink and gold. I put on my best suit, looked at myself in the mirror, barely recognized the person staring back. The old Daniel would have been nervous, would have second-guessed himself 100 times. This Daniel was calm, cold, ready. Amanda looked stunning when I picked her up from her temporary apartment. Designer gown that probably cost $2,000 on our credit card. Hair and makeup professionally done. She looked like success, like confidence, like someone who had it all together. "You look beautiful," I said, and meant it. She did look beautiful. She'd always been beautiful. That was never the problem. "Thanks," she said, smiling. "Tonight's going to be amazing." She had no idea. The Millennium Biltmore was elegant. Old Hollywood glamour, the ballroom decorated with industry prestige. Round tables, mood lighting, a stage with a huge screen behind it for presentations. 300 people in evening wear, networking, laughing, drinking. Amanda was radiant, introducing me to colleagues, talking about deals she'd closed, properties she'd sold. "This is my husband, Dr. Daniel Morrison. He's an ER physician at Cedars-Sinai." Everyone was impressed, smiling, shaking my hand, telling Amanda how lucky she was. If they only knew. I spotted Kevin near the back, gave him a subtle nod. Frank was dressed as a waiter, camera hidden in his vest. Chris, the AV tech, caught my eye from the booth and tapped his headset. Everything was in place. Dinner was served. Speeches began. Various awards. Rookie of the Year, Deal of the Year, Team of the Year. Amanda barely touched her food, too excited, too anxious. She kept squeezing my hand under the table. "Thank you for being here," she whispered during one speech. "I know things are difficult with the divorce, but I appreciate this." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. The weight of those words sat between us, though only I understood what they meant. Around 7:45, they got to Agent of the Year. Gregory Hunt, the CEO of Luxury Estates LA, took the microphone. He was a tall guy in his 60s, silver hair, commanding presence. "This year's Agent of the Year embodies everything we value at Luxury Estates," Gregory said. "Excellence, dedication, integrity. She's closed $47 million in sales this year, maintained exceptional client relationships, and demonstrated tireless commitment to her work. Amanda Morrison, please come to the stage." Integrity. The word hung in the air, bitter and ironic. Amanda stood, her smile enormous, and walked to the stage. Applause filled the ballroom. I clapped too, my hands moving automatically while my heart pounded. This was it. Amanda accepted the crystal trophy, stood at the microphone, glowing in the spotlight. "I'm so honored," she began, her voice emotional. "This career means everything to me. It's been such an incredible journey, and I couldn't have done it without my amazing team, my wonderful clients, and—" She paused, looked directly at me, and I felt every muscle in my body tense. "And especially my husband Daniel, who's always supported me. Even when things got hard. Daniel, thank you for being here tonight." The spotlight swung to me briefly. Everyone turned, applauded. I raised my hand in acknowledgement, my face neutral. Amanda continued talking about her team, her clients, her dedication to excellence. I stopped listening, stood up slowly, made my way toward the back of the room where the AV booth was. Chris saw me coming, nodded. I handed him my laptop. He plugged it in, fingers flying over the controls. Amanda was wrapping up her speech. So here's to honesty, hard work, and... The ballroom lights suddenly dimmed. Amanda stopped mid-sentence, confused. The large screen behind her flickered. "What's—" she started. The screen lit up white. Then text appeared in bold black letters. "What hard work really looks like." A timeline, March 2021, June 2024. Amanda's face went white. She turned to look at the screen, then back at the crowd, then at me, standing in the back, remote in my hand. Our wedding photo appeared on the screen. Beautiful, happy, full of promise. It stayed there for 3 seconds. Then the video began. The first 30 seconds were Marcus. Split screen, left side showing timestamps and location captions, right side showing surveillance footage. Thursday girls' nights, actually Hotel Irwin with personal trainer Marcus. Footage of Amanda and Marcus entering the hotel, his hand on her lower back. Parking lot cameras showing them kissing. Dates rolling. March 2021, June 2021, September 2021, scrolling forward through 3 years. The ballroom erupted in gasps and murmurs. People stood up. Amanda screamed, "Stop it! Turn it off!" But nobody moved. The next minute was Jason. Weekend conferences, actually San Francisco with ex-boyfriend Jason Reeves. Airport surveillance footage, hotel doors closing, intimate restaurant footage. Text messages appeared on screen. Amanda's own words. "Daniel's so clueless, I almost feel bad." Almost. The sound in the ballroom was deafening. Some people were shouting, some were filming on their phones, some were just frozen in shock. I saw Brett Caldwell's wife stand up, her face a mask of horror. The next section was Brett. Client lunches, actually affair with married investor Brett Caldwell. Restaurant footage, parking garage cameras showing them making out. Property viewing records showing no actual properties viewed. Brett's wife started screaming. "You homewrecker! You destroyed my family!" Brett tried to leave, but his wife grabbed him, shoved him. Security moved toward them but couldn't get through the crowd. Everyone was standing now watching the screen, watching Amanda collapse on stage. The final 90 seconds were the worst. Split screen showing all 3 affairs with dates. April 4-6, 2024, 3 men in 3 days. Thursday Marcus, Friday Brett, Saturday Jason. Footage from all 3, time-stamped, undeniable. Then the financial breakdown scrolled. 47,362, or to 18 spent from joint account on affairs, hotel rooms, flights, dinners, gifts, jewelry. The wedding song played throughout. Elvis's Can't Help Falling in Love, the song we'd danced to at our reception, now soundtracking the evidence of betrayal. The final screen. She filed for divorce, citing my emotional unavailability. Here's the evidence. The video ended. The lights came back up. The ballroom was chaos. Amanda was on her hands and knees on stage, sobbing hysterically. Gregory Hunt stood frozen, the microphone still in his hand, looking between Amanda and the screen. Marcus had apparently been in the audience. I saw him trying to slip out a side door. Brett's wife was screaming at both Brett and Amanda, security struggling to separate them. Amanda's colleagues were talking over each other, some looking horrified, some looking almost gleeful at the drama. I walked toward the stage, the crowd parting for me like I was Moses at the Red Sea. My heart was pounding, but outwardly I was calm. This was the moment, 4 months of planning coming to fruition. Amanda saw me approaching, looked up from where she was crumpled on the stage, mascara running, expensive dress wrinkled. "How could you do this to me?" she screamed. "How could you humiliate me like this?" I stopped at the edge of the stage, looked her directly in the eyes. "I didn't do anything," I said, my voice carrying in the stunned silence. "I just showed them what you did. There's a difference." I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket. the revised divorce petition, and evidence packet. Walked up the stage stairs and handed it to her. Your attorney will receive the full files tomorrow. All 2,047 pages. Video depositions are scheduled for next month. See you in court, Amanda. I turned and walked out of the ballroom. Kevin fell into step beside me, Frank following with his camera. Behind us, the chaos continued, shouting, crying, the sound of Amanda's carefully constructed life imploding in real time. Outside, the night air was cool. I took a deep breath, the first real breath I'd taken in months. You okay? Kevin asked. I don't know yet, I admitted. Ask me tomorrow. But standing there outside the hotel, listening to the muffled chaos inside, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not peace exactly, not satisfaction. Maybe clarity. Like I'd finally stopped letting someone walk all over me. Like I'd finally stood up for myself. The video leaked online within an hour. Someone in the ballroom had filmed it on their phone, uploaded it to Twitter. By morning, it had 500,000 views. Reddit threads appeared. ER doctor exposes wife's 3 affairs at her awards ceremony. Comments were split between savage justice and public humiliation went too far. The real estate community exploded. Luxury Estates LA went into damage control. Gregory Hunt released a statement about deeply troubling revelations and immediate internal investigation. Amanda was placed on indefinite leave pending review. Her Instagram, which had been perfectly curated moments of success and girl power inspirational quotes, got flooded with comments. She deleted it within 24 hours. Same with her Facebook. Her professional website went dark. The professional consequences cascaded quickly. Within a week, clients started requesting different agents. Some explicitly stated they couldn't work with someone who'd committed such ethical violations. Brett had been a client when the affair started, which meant Amanda had crossed major professional boundaries. The ethics board at Luxury Estates conducted a formal investigation. The affair with a client violated their code of conduct. By week 3, Amanda was forced to resign. She lost her position, her commission pipeline, her professional reputation. Marcus lost his job too. Equinox terminated his employment after discovering he'd had an inappropriate relationship with a client. His girlfriend, I found out later she'd been in the audience that night, left him. His fitness sponsorships dropped him. Jason faced HR investigation at his tech company. Something about a moral clause in his employment contract. He had a girlfriend who dumped him spectacularly on social media, exposing him as a cheater to their entire network. Brett's situation was the most dramatic. His wife filed for divorce the next day, demanding full custody of their teenage kids and majority of assets. His investor network, built partly on his reputation as a family man, started quietly distancing themselves. Some partnerships dissolved. 2 of his projects lost funding, but the fallout wasn't just professional. Amanda's social circle imploded. The girl's night friends realized they'd been unwitting accomplices, giving her alibis while she was actually with Marcus. Some confronted her. Others just ghosted. Her sister Emily sent me a private message. I'm so sorry, we had no idea. Amanda's parents, Karen and Robert, called me. Her mother was furious. How could you humiliate her like that, publicly, at her work event? How could she cheat on me with 3 men for 4 years and use my money to do it? I countered. Silence on the other end. Then her father's voice, quieter. We didn't know about all of that. Nobody did, I said. That was the point. She was very good at hiding it. They didn't call back, but Emily reached out again later. Mom's in denial, but Dad sees it. I see it. What she did was, I don't even have words. Amanda moved in with her parents. Couldn't afford rent on her own without the luxury estate salary. The divorce proceedings accelerated. Lisa Torres demolished Amanda's claims of emotional unavailability with the evidence file. The forensic accountant's report showed systematic diversion of marital funds. Settlement negotiations were brutal but quick. Amanda's attorney tried to salvage something, but there was no defense against 47 pages of documented betrayal and financial fraud. Final settlement. I kept the house. Asset split was 70-30 in my favor, punitive for the proven financial misconduct. Amanda got one car, some furniture, personal belongings. No alimony. The affairs and financial deception voided any claim she might have had. California law might be no fault, but judges still have discretion in asset division, and the evidence was overwhelming. Amanda tried one last move, claimed emotional distress from the public video, threatened to sue me. Lisa shut that down immediately. You committed fraud. He exposed it. California's a one-party consent state for recordings. Everything he did was legal. You want to open this up in court again, with more press coverage, more testimony? Be my guest. Amanda dropped it. Divorce was finalized in early December 2024. But around week 4 after the video, something happened that made me question everything. Emily sent me a photo. Amanda in a hospital bed, pale, wires attached, heart monitor beeping. The text read, "You need to know." She had a severe panic attack, thought she was having a heart attack. EMTs had to be called. She's on anti-anxiety medication now. Parents are talking about a psychiatric hold if she doesn't stabilize. I stared at that photo for a long time. Amanda looked small in that hospital bed. Nothing like the confident woman who'd stood on stage accepting an award. She looked broken. For the first time since finding that phone in February, I felt something other than anger. Not regret exactly, but something adjacent. Doubt. The sick feeling that maybe I'd gone too far. I brought it up in therapy. Dr. Chen looked at the photo, then at me. "How do you feel?" she asked. "I don't know," I admitted. "Part of me feels vindicated. Like, finally she's experiencing consequences. But part of me looks at this and thinks, did I destroy her too completely? Do you feel guilty? I don't know. She destroyed 4 years of my life. She used my money, lied to my face every single day, then tried to divorce me and take everything while playing the victim. But seeing her like this, it's possible for multiple things to be true at once," Dr. Chen said gently. "What she did was horrible, unforgivable, really. What you did was public and harsh. Both things can exist." "Everyone keeps asking if I regret it," I said. "Some people think I'm a hero, some think I'm a monster. I don't know what I am." "What do you think?" she asked. I paused, trying to find the words. "I think I don't regret exposing the truth. I regret that the truth is so ugly. I regret that it had to come to this. But I don't regret standing up for myself." "That's a reasonable position," Dr. Chen said. "And the fact that you're wrestling with this, that you're not just smugly satisfied, that's actually healthy. It means you're still human, still capable of empathy, even for someone who hurt you." "I don't want her to die or have a breakdown," I said. "I just wanted her to face consequences for what she did." "And she has," Dr. Chen pointed out. "Lost her job, her reputation, her marriage, her social circle, her financial stability. Those are real consequences. The question now is, can you move forward from here?" That became the question I asked myself every day. Could I move forward? The quiet months after the divorce felt strange. The house was mine, but it was full of ghosts. I'd lie in bed where Amanda used to sleep and remember the person I'd thought she was. I'd walk past the kitchen where I'd found that phone and feel the echo of that moment, the before and after of my entire life. I threw myself into work at first, picked up extra shifts, volunteered for the worst cases, anything to keep my mind occupied. My colleagues knew something had happened. The story had made the rounds, but most were professionally polite about it. Some nurses looked at me differently, with a kind of respect mixed with wariness. Like I'd revealed I could be ruthless when pushed, Dr. Chen kept me somewhat sane. Weekly sessions where I unpacked everything: the betrayal, the revenge, the aftermath, the guilt, the anger that wouldn't quite die. "You spent 10 years being a people pleaser," she told me one session. "Always accommodating, always avoiding conflict, always choosing peace over truth. This situation forced you to choose yourself, to set boundaries, to say, 'This is unacceptable.' That's not a bad thing." "Then why do I feel like shit?" "Because growth is painful," she said simply. "You're learning to live with the person you've become, the person who fought back. That's different from the person you were, and different is uncomfortable." Slowly, carefully, I started rebuilding, painted the bedroom a different color, got rid of furniture that reminded me of Amanda, threw out wedding photos except one, which I kept in a box in the garage. Not as a shrine, just as a reminder of who I'd been and what I'd survived. I picked up old hobbies I'd abandoned during the marriage, started running again, training for the LA Marathon, joined a book club through the hospital, met people outside of work who knew nothing about my story. Took a solo trip to Colorado in February, spent a week hiking and breathing clean mountain air and feeling like maybe I could be okay, alone. The loneliness was real, but it was different from the loneliness of being married to someone who was betraying you. This loneliness was honest. There was freedom in that. Kevin introduced me to a hiking group in March. Weekend trail hikes, casual social events, normal people doing normal things. One of the regulars, Sarah, was recently divorced too. We bonded over shared experience, not romantically at first, just two people who understood what it felt like to have your life imploded by someone you trusted. "Do you ever wonder if you'll be able to trust anyone again?" Sarah asked one hike. "Every day," I admitted. "But I'm starting to think trust isn't the problem." I trusted Amanda completely, and look how that turned out. Maybe the issue is trusting the wrong person or ignoring red flags because you want so badly to believe the best in someone. So what's the answer? "I think it's trusting yourself first," I said. "Trusting your instincts when something feels off. Trusting that you can survive if things go wrong." I ignored every red flag because I was so scared of becoming my father, of being suspicious and jealous and paranoid. But there's a difference between being paranoid and being observant. I also started volunteering at a free clinic once a month. It reminded me why I'd become a doctor in the first place. Not for money or status or success, but because I wanted to help people who couldn't help themselves. It gave me perspective, made me feel less like my story was this huge tragic thing and more like just a thing that happened. Painful, but survivable. The months passed. Spring turned to summer. The obsessive thoughts about Amanda and the affairs in the video started coming less frequently. I'd go whole days without thinking about it, then get hit with a memory at random moments and have to breathe through it. In June 2025, I ran into Amanda at a grocery store. It was the first time I'd seen her in person since the awards dinner. She looked different, thinner, tired, less polished. She was in the produce section when I turned the corner with my cart. Our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. Then she quickly looked away, grabbed an apple, and headed toward the checkout. No words, no confrontation. Just two people who used to know each other passing in a grocery store. I felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not even curiosity about how she was doing. Just neutral. And that's when I realized I was actually moving on. Around that same time, I met Rachel. She was a new pediatric surgeon at Cedars-Sinai, brilliant and funny and direct in a way that felt refreshing. We got coffee after a case we worked together, and she asked straight out, "So, what's your story?" I could have deflected, made something up, kept it light. But I'd learned that honesty was worth more than appearance. "I'm recently divorced," I said. "My ex-wife had 3 affairs over 4 years. I found out, documented everything, and exposed her at her company awards dinner. The video went viral. It was messy and public and complicated, and I'm still processing it. Rachel didn't flinch. That sounds incredibly painful. How are you doing now? Better than I was, I said honestly. Some days are harder than others. I'm working on trusting my judgment again, setting boundaries, not being the guy who ignores red flags because he's too nice to cause conflict. I respect that, she said. Self-awareness and honesty are underrated. We kept talking. Coffee turned into dinner, turned into weekend hikes. Rachel knew the whole story. I told her early because I didn't want to hide anything, and she never made me feel broken or damaged. She just accepted that I was someone who'd been through something difficult and came out the other side changed. "Do you think you'll ever forgive her?" Rachel asked one evening in August. We were at my place, cooking dinner together, and she'd asked it casually, like she was curious but not judging either answer. "I don't know," I said. "I don't think about her much anymore," which feels like progress. But forgiveness, that's complicated. What she did fundamentally changed how I see people, see myself, see relationships. I'm not sure forgiveness is even the goal. Maybe acceptance is enough. What's the difference? Forgiveness feels like saying it's okay, that I'm over it, that we could be friends or something. Acceptance is acknowledging that it happened, it sucked, it changed me, and I'm moving forward anyway. I don't need to forgive her to be okay. I just need to accept that this is part of my story now. Rachel nodded thoughtfully. That makes sense. The anniversary of finding that phone, February 8th, 2025, hit harder than I expected. 1 year since my entire world had tilted. I took the day off work, drove back to Griffith Observatory, sat in the same parking spot where I'd broken down with Kevin. But this time I wasn't crying, I was just reflecting, looking out over LA, thinking about everything that had happened, everything I'd lost, everything I'd learned. A year ago, I'd been a people pleaser who valued peace over truth, who ignored red flags and rationalized lies and chose comfort over confrontation, who let someone walk all over him for years because he was so terrified of becoming his father that he'd become a doormat instead. The person I was now wasn't perfect, probably had some trust issues to work through, maybe was a little harder, a little less naive. But I also had boundaries, self-respect, the ability to say, "This is unacceptable," and mean it. I thought about that video, about Amanda collapsing on stage, about the chaos that had followed. People still asked if I regretted it. Some days I wasn't sure. It had been harsh, public, brutal. It had destroyed not just Amanda's reputation, but the lives of everyone involved. Marcus's career, Jason's relationship, Brett's family, Amanda's entire professional world. But then I remembered, she'd made choices, 3 separate affairs, 4 years of lies, $47,000. She'd filed for divorce first, trying to paint me as the bad guy, planning to take the house and the assets and walk away like she was the victim. The video hadn't ruined her life. Her choices had. I just made sure everyone knew what those choices were. And maybe that made me harsh. Maybe it made me vengeful. But it also made me someone who finally stood up for himself. By December 2025, almost a year after the divorce was finalized, I felt like I'd reached something close to peace. Not the absence of pain. You don't go through something like that and come out unscathed. But a kind of equilibrium, like I'd integrated what happened into who I was and could move forward. Through mutual connections, I heard updates about Amanda occasionally. She'd found work at a smaller real estate firm, much lower profile. Still lived with her parents, working on rebuilding her credit and finances. Reportedly in therapy, working through everything. Dating someone new, though I had no details and didn't want them. I hoped, genuinely, that she was working on herself. Not for her sake, but for whoever she dated next. People can change, though it requires wanting to change and doing the work. I didn't know if Amanda was doing that work, but it wasn't my problem anymore. Marcus had moved to a different city, started over. Jason was still in San Francisco, keeping a lower profile. Brett was divorced, sharing custody of his kids, working on repairing those relationships, all of them dealing with consequences of choices they'd made. And me? I was still at Cedars-Sinai, got promoted to senior attending, still running, finished the LA Marathon in March with a personal record, still volunteering at the free clinic, still seeing Dr. Chen, monthly for maintenance therapy. Rachel and I were taking things slow, building something genuine instead of rushing. She'd met my parents, I'd met hers, no pressure, no timeline, just two people who liked each other and were seeing where it went. After Amanda, slow felt right. Intentional felt right. I bought a small cabin in Big Bear, a weekend retreat where I could hike and read and breathe. Decorated it myself, filled it with things I actually liked instead of compromising on every decision. It was mine, completely mine, and there was power in that. On a cold evening in mid-December, I'm standing in my house, not our house, looking at how I've changed it. New paint, new furniture, new energy. The wedding photo is still in that box in the garage. Someday I might throw it away, or maybe I'll keep it as a reminder that I survived something I thought would destroy me. My phone rings. Rachel, asking if I'm still coming over for dinner. Yeah, I say, grabbing my keys. I'll be right there. Before I leave, I take one last look around. This house used to feel like a museum of a failed marriage. Now it just feels like home. People ask me sometimes, friends, colleagues, people who heard the story, if I would do anything differently. If I regret the video, the public nature of the revenge, the thermonuclear response. The honest answer? I don't know. Some days I think I should have just filed for divorce quietly, taken the evidence to court, moved on without the spectacle. Some days I'm glad I did it exactly how I did it. Glad that everyone knows what happened. Glad I didn't let Amanda control the narrative. But here's what I learned, what I really learned through all of this. You can be kind without being a doormat. You can avoid conflict without avoiding all confrontation. You can trust people without being blind to red flags. And you can love someone completely while still loving yourself enough to walk away when they don't deserve you. I spent 10 years trying to save a marriage that was dying from the inside while smiling at me from the outside. You can't save something like that. You can only save yourself. Amanda had 3 affairs. She made those choices. I made mine too, to document, to wait, to expose the truth in the most public way possible. Were my choices right? I'm still figuring that out, but they were mine, made from a place of finally choosing myself over keeping the peace, and maybe that's what healing looks like. Not the absence of scars, but learning to live with them. Not forgetting what happened, but accepting it and moving forward anyway. Not forgiving people who hurt you, but forgiving yourself for trusting them in the first place. I drive to Rachel's place, through the LA evening, past the city where my old life exploded, and my new one is slowly taking shape. The traffic is terrible, the sky is smoggy, and somewhere out there Amanda is living her new reduced life. Marcus is trying to rebuild his reputation. Jason is keeping his head down, and Brett is fighting for custody of his kids. And I'm here, driving to dinner with someone who makes me laugh, who knows my whole story and doesn't treat me like I'm broken, who reminds me that not everyone is lying even when your trust has been shattered. It's not the life I planned. It's not the fairy tale I thought I was living 10 years ago. But it's real, it's mine, and I'm building it with intention this time, with boundaries, with self-respect. Someone asked me last week if I'm happy now. I thought about it for a while before answering. I'm not sure I'm happy, I said. But I'm okay, and after everything, okay feels like a victory. That's the truth. I spent 4 years being lied to, 4 months building a timeline of those lies, and 4 minutes exposing them to the world. Now I'm spending however long it takes, building a life that doesn't require revenge because it's not built on lies in the first place. I pull into Rachel's driveway, grab the wine I brought, and walk to her door. She opens it before I can knock, smiling, and for the first time in a long time, I smile back without calculating anything, without wondering if I'm being lied to, without keeping score. Maybe that's what the other side of revenge looks like. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just this. A normal evening with someone who's honest. A life where trust isn't naive, it's earned. A version of myself who learned the hardest way possible, that you can't love someone into being faithful, but you can love yourself enough to walk away when they're not. I walk inside, close the door on the cold evening, and leave the past where it belongs, behind me, acknowledged but no longer in control. And that finally feels like enough.